Listen, you're not gonna find anything on me, okay? Trust me.
Empty your pockets into the tray, sir, or we'll have to. Your pockets, sir?
Lady, the problem isn't in my pants.
Welcome back to Thinking Critical. This is Wes, and it's time to talk about all things X-Men. There are a few issues this week. I think there is an X Factor, maybe a Cable out there. I'm not reading either of those. I'm not sure about that, but we're here to talk mostly about Wolverine number 5. We're also going to hit up on Victor Bogdanovich. Then we're going to talk about a couple other things we learned in Wolverine, or maybe specifically about Wolverine himself. And then there's another promo art for Ten of Swords we're going to cover as well. And here with me, as always, is the Marvel aficionado, the X-Men historian. Doc, how you doing?
I'm spectacular, sir. And I'm really looking forward to talking about this subject.
Well, I am glad that you are doing so well. And I hope all the viewers are doing well as well. If this is your first time, if you've been coming around but you haven't subscribed, now is the time to subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell for notifications. Give us an enormous thumbs up if you like this content. Give us an enormous thumbs down if you think we're a couple of rubes. Either way, we would love to hear your feedback in the comments section. Now, Doc, before we get into Wolverine and how much we both like it, because I think we both enjoy this comic book, I just want to talk about the artist. Victor Bogdanovich is a pretty young guy. He's young as far as the industry goes, but he's definitely been making his mark. And he keeps being in like the fill-in guy for these well-known artists. I think the first time I really noticed him was in Silencer. That was originally John Romita Jr. I think he lasted 3 or 4 issues. Victor Bogdanovich took over. It absolutely blew JR away. And that wasn't Action Comics John Romita Jr. That art was pretty good in Silencer. Completely pants John Romita Jr. with what he did with the Silencer as far as Victor Bogdanovich. Over here on Wolverine, he's supposed to be like the second artist to Adam Kubert, who does perfectly great Wolverine work in the first 3 issues. But once again, Victor Bogdanovich, the young gun, is kind of showing these old dogs that the young guys are hot on their tail. And I think his art has exceeded Adam Kubert so far in this Wolverine run.
Oh, absolutely. As much as I really love Adam Kubert's art, and he's a natural for Wolverine. He's probably second only to Mark Silvestri on the solo Wolverine in my book, but Victor Bogdanovich's art on this has been out of this goddamn world. And I think that if they let him kind of riff a little bit more, it would be even better. He is so close to being on like superstar status. He's one amazing, important issue away from just blowing up. He's, in my opinion, he's easily the best artist in the entire Dawn of X line right now. He's doing the best artwork, and he's the number 2 guy on Wolverine. In my opinion, he has kind of, the only thing I can really hope for is that Adam Kubert looks at this and goes, oh, so you're throwing down the gauntlet. I'm going to raise my game too. We may end up with some great competition between the two of them on this, because his art, he's really good at framing panels from a dynamic perspective. Even things that are relatively boring, he knows how to do real close, like tight shots, how to pull back and show a little bit more. And he doesn't really lose a lot of detail in the bigger shots, in my opinion.
Yeah, I hate comparing artists. Of course, you always feel compelled to, kind of style-wise. It almost feels like a younger Capullo. Like if Capullo was on Wolverine, this is kind of what I would expect.
Yeah. I know that he reminds me of somebody, and I'm gonna have to go with Capullo probably. But you know what? I think at the same level of his career, because at this point in Capullo's career, he was probably 20 issues into X-Force, 15 issues, something like that, and he stuck around for 3 years on X-Force. This might be right at the beginning of like his Spawn work, and I think that Bogdanovich is honestly already well ahead of him at the same point in their careers. Dude's just got a knack for this title.
Yeah, he's got that just a wonderful, gritty, brilliant style that just fits the character beautifully. And the other thing I really like about Bogdanovich, maybe even more than his art, I like the cut of his jib. I like his attitude. I like the way he handles himself on social media. Like, he calls out some of the bullshit in the industry, even though he's working, he's done work for DC, he's done work for Marvel. He's not messing around. He's one to go out there and say, hey, listen, if you don't want to put my name on the trade, then I don't want to work for you. Artists need recognition too, and he's willing to go out there and make a lot of statements and say a lot of things that I think a lot of artists in the industry believe as well. I like that he's willing to put it out there. He's got some moxie to him. I dig it.
I agree. I don't know if anybody remembers this, but him and I had a spat, probably 6 months ago, like right before I think Wolverine came out. I was like this close to being like, F you, dude. I'm not buying Wolverine now. And you can explain why you lost the company a bunch of money. And instead of him like kind of doubling down and being like, I don't want your money, he was like, well, I'm going to try to win you back. Hell, I think the dude offered me like free original art. And I'm like, you know what, man? No, you're cool now. Like you instead of just being I was being a jackass, and I'll admit it. And instead of him being a jackass back, he decided to try to win me over. And I'm like, oh, wait, comic creators can still do this. I was so used to creators that basically, unless you're kissing their ass, they basically tell you to F off. When he didn't do it, it was really refreshing. And it kind of reminded me of more sane days of comics.
Like I said, we both love Victor Bogdanovich's art. We like the cut of his jib, and it definitely shines here in Wolverine #5 with writer Ben Percy. This is the second part of like a vampire book. And the last one, at the very end, we saw they were Wolverine was being dipped into the ice, and we weren't sure what was going to happen to him. And in this issue, Percy's got there's something wrong with his mind. He does a lot of sick stuff in his Wolverine comic. And this one, Wolverine is trapped in a ginormous ice cube, and they're like drilling into his neck. And then Dracula and the other vampires are drinking his blood so they can be daywalkers.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, well, I don't know if they weren't really drinking it. They were putting it in that thing that went on their chest. They said it was like a blood clock or something. So I'm guessing they're like absorbing it through there. Yeah, it was really cool the way that they were, using Wolverine and to become daywalkers so that they can go and, I guess they've been going around through all these like northern Canadian wilderness towns and basically taking all of the population. Yeah, they're turning the whole population and
like turning them on populated areas like big cities, and tell them that it's a buffet.
Yeah, they're just releasing them on like Edmonton. I mean, I guess this is their way of like turning Canada into like Vampire Nation. They have this plan, and this connects back to that, like the Bogdanovich part of, I think what was it, issue 1?
Issue 1, yes, where he's in Paris.
Yeah, and it connects back into that. Now, the only thing I'm really curious about is where in the hell did Omega Red go? He's
with Dracula.
Yeah, I know, but like there was some of the plot stuff that kind of was a little wonky, and it even addressed it in the story, like why they would leave the giant block of Wolverine ice unattended. They never really came to a conclusion on why. But so after that, Wolverine's kind of pseudo rescued by like teenage vampires
that are living off of like moose and rabbits.
Yeah, like teenage punk vampires. All right then.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So they end up on their snow machines. They're kind of going after some of Dracula's little brood there that are going to infect some people. And when Wolverine finally confronts them, and there's a pretty good fight, and you'd think they wouldn't be killing off these kids, but those vampires were just chopping their heads off left and right as Wolverine was kind of coming for blood.
Yeah, I think it
was crazy.
There was 3 of the kids, and I think 2 of them died.
I think only one of them makes it.
Yeah, I think the girl's the only one that makes it. Well, I mean, come on, it's back to Wolverine and a teenage girl. but no, like it's really cool and it's brutal too. Like they're showing like these kids like getting their head chopped off by the claws on the one vampire. One of them gets like their heart ripped out.
Mm-hmm. That's the best panel in the whole comic book. Wolverine's coming up behind her. He's about to shred her to pieces. She's holding the little kid's heart.
Yeah.
All right. I'm gonna be honest with you, Doc. The best thing about Wolverine, I mean, I think Ben Percy obviously loves the character. This feels like the most true representation of the character at Marvel in at least a decade. The best thing about it, though, is it feels like it's not tied into Dawn of X.
Yeah. it feels like it's
not weighed down by all the mediocrity and bullshit going on in the meandering Dawn of X where nothing happens.
And the months. Yeah, it's not mired down in all the plant shit. It's kind of awesome. Plus, it's a Wolverine that, unlike the other Wolverines, like even in X-Force, he doesn't seem to have any fear of dying in that, whereas this one feels like he can get effed up and they're not just going to immediately clone him and send him back out the way that they do in X-Force.
Yeah, I'm definitely digging this Wolverine. It's a highlight. That with Hellions are really the highlights, although I still like X-Force a lot. Now, one of the coolest things about this comic book is we learned a couple of things at the very end. We got the reading order, and we finally learned we're getting another Red Banner issue. Remember, those were the big ones at House of X Powers of 10. It was like once we learned about Moira's mutant ability being to reincarnate. I think we learned about mutant resurrection in a Red Banner issue. I also think we learned about Moira going to the future in a Red Banner issue and stuff like that. So it's normally these are the biggest reveals. So we're going to get that in Ten of Swords creation #1. But maybe even cooler is there was a lot of speculation that Juggernaut from Fabian Nicienza and Ron Garney, which is going to be Dynamite. People thought that wasn't part of Dawn of X because Juggernaut is technically not a mutant. But it is in Dawn of X because it is in the reading order. Which one are you more excited about?
I'm much more excited about Juggernaut being part of Dawn of X because I don't care whether or not X of Swords creation is a Red Banner issue. I'm not buying it. I absolutely refuse to buy into this stupid event. And no matter how many banners they slap on it, they're not going to convince me to it. You want to make something important? Put it in one of the books that actually matter and not another one shot.
Well, dang, Doc. That's well. Let's talk about Ron Garney's art in Juggernaut. We've seen some preview art. I'm really excited. Ron Garney's one of my favorite artists. Fabian Nicienza does not get enough work. Glad that he's going to be back in the X franchise. I think it's going to be awesome. Juggernaut versus the Hulk. I think it's going to be dope.
Yeah. No, I am kind of hyped about that. I like Ron Garney's art. Fabian, I think he's kind of just coasting on his royalties from all that 90s stuff that he made that sold a boatload and they're finally collecting. So he's basically getting page rates for stuff that he made 30 years ago that had never gotten collected before. So I'm hyped for that. And Juggernaut being Juggernaut. We've gotten a lot of Juggernaut over the past few years where it's a little too obsessed with Sidorak. We've had Wimpy Juggernaut, we've had Big Brother Juggernaut. I want a Juggernaut that's just going to cut loose and just mess some stuff up.
Yeah, the only way you can beat him is that he's stupid.
Yeah. Yeah, you either get his helmet off of him or you
dupe him.
Yeah, you dupe him.
We still have one thing to talk about, and it is Ten of Swords creation, the thing that you said you're not interested in. We do have a new promo art from Pepe Larraz. Obviously, he was one of the 2 artists in House of X Powers of 10. This is what we got along with. This is the statement along with it. The next chapter in Hickman's bold reshaping of the X-Men that began in House of 10. This story will stand alongside influential X-Men crossovers like Mutant Massacre and Messiah Complex. The victories will be legendary, the losses will be heartbreaking, and the revelations will send shockwaves throughout the Marvel Universe. This sprawling saga will have a lasting impact on the future of the X-Men, forever changing the fate of the franchise's most prominent characters. that doesn't get you hot and bothered for this this big event, even in the promo art?
No, because
you don't want revelations.
Well, first of all, I'm pretty sure that the only revelation we're going to get is about Apocalypse and his original Horseman. And I'm sorry, I'm not invested enough in that. I mean, it's a cool idea, but I'm just not invested in it. The Forever Changed, I'm pressing X to doubt because that's bullshit. I mean, it's Marvel. Come on. Nothing is forever changed.
All right, how about this? Event. It's the dark history of Arakko will soon be revealed when it is the very future of mankind at stake. Now witness the cataclysmic showdown between the sword bearers of Arakko and the 10 mutants who will stand up to defend the new mutant nation of Krakoa. How's that?
Marginally more interesting. I mean, no, seriously, it is actually. It doesn't sound terrible there.
If it wasn't 28 issues, I'd be excited too.
Yeah, if it didn't have,
if it was Howard, like Messiah Complex or Mutant Massacre, and it was a reasonable, length,
and
too big,
and you didn't have like one main story through like 5 issues of a regular series and a bunch of tie-ins that you didn't need to read. If you didn't have 20 some odd chapters.
If it was 9 chapters.
Yeah, if it was 9 chapters, fine. If it was 6 chapters, better.
If it was 9 chapters, I would probably I would want to do it, but I would probably even go read the Excalibur stuff that I despise.
Same here. If it was, but I am not picking up X Factor. I am not picking up Excalibur. I'm not coming back to New Mutants. I am not
Marauders either.
Not going to go back to Marauders. I'm not buying these books, and no matter how many ways you try to force me into doing it, Ukulele Boy, I'm still not going to buy them. There's what, 3 one-shots involved in this? There's the Creation, there's one in the middle, and then there's the Armageddon or Revelations or something like that at the end. I'm not buying any of those one-shots. I'm not buying the Excalibur issues. I'm not buying Marauders. I'm not buying New Mutants. I'm not buying X Factor. If I end up with a really chopped up, like trying to read a novel with certain chapters just ripped out experience out of this, then you know what I'm going to do the next time they do this for an event? I just drop the books I am reading too. And then
it's crazy. It's almost like Jonathan Hickman was being disingenuous when he said, just read the stuff you want. You don't have to read it all.
Yeah, it's a lie because they overexpanded the line and he needed an excuse for why they overexpanded the line so that he could do more R&D for his damn Decorum book. That's
all right, Doc. We've definitely gone over on the time this week. Had a good time talking about Victor Bogdanovich. Definitely one of the young guns in comics and an artist to keep your eye on because I think he's one of the next big superstar artists in comic books. If Marvel doesn't sabotage his career by just starting to bounce him around and then only let him do covers eventually. But Wolverine #5 absolutely kicks ass. We get to see Wolverine as a blood transfusing Ice Cube. And he also shreds the shit out of some vampires. So that was pretty cool. And then very excited that Juggernaut is in Dawn of X. Hopefully we'll see that character maybe in X-Men or something down the line. I'm more excited about the Red Band issue. I will probably pick it up just because of all the things that happen in House of X Powers of 10. But obviously you need more convincing. But
I need a lot more convincing.
Yeah. They overextended this Ten of Swords stuff by a lot.
And I still don't understand what the point of the swords are.
Well, you got to read the book.
I understand that, but the need for you're supposed to sell me on it because right now this sounds like Nancy Pelosi saying you got to find out what's in the bill. You got to pass the bill. I got to buy the comic to find out why I should buy the comic. That's what advertising and marketing's for. They're supposed to convince me why these X-Men need swords before I pick up the book where they are running around with swords.
Well, I appreciate now that all the Pelosi stands are going to jump in the comments and talk about what a big piece of shit we are. Thanks a lot, Doc. Why to make the conversation political? That's it. I'm out of here.
Sorry.
If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. I would appreciate it very much. It helps us attract more views for the channel. Subscribe for future commentary, comic book news, and reviews. And don't forget to ring the bell for notifications. If you want to talk comics, movies, and much, much more, you can follow me on Twitter at Wes_from_TC. With that, Salamat Po, and I'm out.